Hello, this is Stephanie Wells from MEFA, and I'm here today to talk to you about financial aid offers and paying the college bill. MEFA is a quasi-state authority that was created by colleges in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in 1982 to help families plan, save, and pay for college. So we've been working with families for many years now, helping to educate them through every step of the college enrollment process. We're excited to congratulate high school seniors across the Commonwealth on their college acceptances. It's a very exciting time for them and their families, and we're here today to help them through the final steps of that process. We're going to talk about understanding and comparing financial aid offers, as well as how to pay that college bill, understanding the next steps in the process, as well as free resources. So let's talk about understanding your financial aid offers and looking at tools to compare them. Here you see an example of a financial aid offer. The financial aid offers that your family and students may be receiving could look different from this example. They may come in the mail, they may come in the student's portal at the college, or they may come through email. Regardless of how you receive them, they may look different from school to school. So it's good to understand the line items of each financial aid offer so that you can better easily compare them. For high school seniors who applied regular admission and maybe even early action, you should be receiving your financial aid offers the month of March of high school senior year. If the student applied early action or early decision, they may have even received financial aid offers earlier than that. What you will find on a financial aid offer is a combination of grants and scholarships, which is free money that the student does not have to pay back, potentially work-study program allotments, depending on the family's financial resources and financial eligibility for this program. The work-study program is a part-time job that the student can get on campus to help them pay for unbilled expenses. In this example, you can see that the college has listed the scholarships and grants from the university, as well as from the federal government and state government, along with a $1,500 work-study program. So in this example, the student can earn up to $1,500 for that academic year through a biweekly paycheck to help pay for unbilled expenses like books, supplies, and transportation. You may also see federal direct student loans on a financial aid offer, and they may come in the form of a subsidized and/or unsubsidized portion. You would see any financial aid that you're eligible for from the federal government, state government, as well as the college and university on a financial aid offer. Now, the aid from the college could be in the form of merit and need-based aid. As I mentioned, financial aid offers can look different from school to school, so it's good to have some resources to compare them. You will need to accept all or part of the college's financial aid offer by the college's deadline, which is typically the national deadline of May 1st, where all students need to deposit at one of the schools that the student was accepted to. Now, you may not accept all of the financial aid offer, depending on whether the student needs that part-time job, if they were awarded work study, or whether or not they even need to borrow. They may, for example, decline the unsubsidized loan portion of the federal direct student loan. But MEFA does recommend that if your family does need to borrow, that you do accept that federal direct student loan because it is one of the better types of financial aid and loan options out there for students, which we'll talk about. From the college itself, you may see merit-based aid on a financial aid offer. This is going to be monies that particularly are awarded from the admissions office at the college or university. It's an award in recognition of the student's talents or skills, which could be artistic or even athletic, but for the most part, most merit-based aid awarded from a college or university is based on the student's overall admissions application. And the criteria to receive that merit-based aid from school to school can differ. You do want to know what the requirements are to maintain this merit-based award. So for example, if the student got a presidential scholarship at a college, it's important to know what the student needs to do to maintain that offer. For example, do they need to maintain a minimum GPA, or do they need to stay in a certain major to keep that merit-based scholarship? Need-based aid is financially need-based aid based on filling out that FAFSA form and potentially that CSS profile form. So it's awarded based on a family's financial eligibility determined by standardized formulas. And it is very likely that for most families at most colleges, 100% of their financial need will not be met because most schools, as well as the federal and state governments, do not have the financial resources to meet 100% of every student's need. However, there are a few schools nationwide with larger endowments that are able to afford to offer 100% of need for every student. But just keep in mind that most schools and most families are not going to have 100% of their financial need met. Now, the need-based aid is going to be included with the federal aid, state aid, as well as most of the aid given out by colleges and universities are based on financial need. The federal direct student loan is a loan for students to take out on their own, where the student is the only borrower. They do not need a cosigner, so it's a good way for students to help contribute towards the college bill and take out a small amount of loans in their own name. There is no credit check on this loan. The rates are fixed for the life of the loan. Currently, for the academic year 24-25, the interest rate is 6.53% fixed. That interest rate will change each year on July 1st and is usually announced in May. So for the upcoming academic year of 25-26, we'll find out in May when what that rate will be. You can see in the chart here that there are limits on what a student can borrow each year. So for example, a freshman or a first-year student can borrow up to $5,500 on this loan. A portion of that loan could be subsidized if the family qualifies for that subsidy, meaning interest won't accrue on that loan until after the student leaves school or graduates. The remaining portion of the loan, or potentially the entire loan, could be unsubsidized, meaning interest will accrue on that portion. For a freshman year loan of $5,500, up to $3,500 of that loan could be subsidized if the family qualifies, and the remaining portion of $2,000 or even up to the full $5,500 will be unsubsidized. Keep in mind there are origination fees that are deducted from federal loans, including a 1.057% fee that is deducted from the federal direct student loan. When the student graduates or leaves schools, they will have lots of repayment options to choose from, and they do not need to make payments of principal and interest while the student is in school. However, on that unsubsidized loan portion, students are encouraged to voluntarily make payments towards that interest so that when they graduate, they will only have to pay back what they borrowed, not any accrued interest. Students will have to sign a promissory note online and go through entrance counseling before they take out the loan so that they understand their rights and responsibilities as a federal student loan borrower. When calculating the balance due at each school, what you'll want to do is look at the college charges, any billed and unbilled expenses, deduct your financial aid and enrollment deposit, and whatever's left over is what is due at the school. MEFA has a great college cost calculator that can be used to break down all of these costs and all of these line items and allow families to use the calculator to look at the financial aid offers side by side in black and white, just looking at the numbers. And it's a great tool to be able to compare. So I'm going to demonstrate this tool for you real quick. As you can see on MEFA.org, we have a lot of great resources for families. On the Paying the College Bill section, you'll see our college cost calculator. This enables you to put in up to 5 financial aid offers from colleges and universities. For this example, I'll just put in some information for one college to show you how the calculator works. First, you'll want to put in all of your costs, which you should be able to find on a potentially a financial aid offer, at least on the college's website. So I'm going to put in $40,000 for tuition and fees, which is always going to be a billed charge from the college, pretending that this is a private college, maybe up here in the Northeast. And we'll pretend that the student is living on campus, so you'll be billed for food and housing at the school. You'll also want to include any unbilled expenses, such as books and supplies, potentially tuition, transportation, to get to and fro the college, as well as potentially, maybe money for a laptop, for example. You may also be charged for health insurance at a college. Here in Massachusetts, all students are required to be insured. So if the student does not have health insurance, for example, through their parents' plan, then they will need to purchase the school's health insurance plan, which could be a charge of approximately $2,000. So if the student does have health insurance, for example, under their parents' plan, they can put in 0 for this amount and waive that charge once they get their bill from the school, and they'll be able to put in their insurance information so that the college knows the student is properly insured. Then you'll want to put in any of your gift aid, free scholarships and grants from the federal, state government, as well as the college and university, and any outside scholarships. So for this example, I'm just going to put in some numbers here to show you how the calculator works. And if I scroll to the bottom, you can see that the calculator is adding up all the costs and then starts deducting the financial aid. So first we put in all the gift aid, all the free grants and scholarships. If you have any outside private scholarships that the student earned through the local community, for example, or on a national search engine like MEFApathway.org, you can add those in here as well, because they will need to be reported to the college or university that the student is attending. Then we'll put in any of our self-help, such as the federal direct student loans and work study or other resources such as payment plans and maybe even 529 college savings plans. So after we've put in all of the financial aid and self-help, so we have a $5,000 payment potentially from a 529 plan, for example, then you'll see what your remaining cost is. So we started with 60,000. After we chip away with the financial aid and maybe savings and loans from the federal government in the student's name, then we have a remaining cost of 21,000, which the family can then decide how they're going to pay that balance due. You can add up to 5 schools and then print your results. You can also do this on a spreadsheet if you have more than 5 colleges that you want to add financial aid offers for. By scanning any of the QR codes on this webinar, it will take you right to the links that you need. And you can also find a copy of the PowerPoint slides attached to this video. So when comparing the results of the college cost calculator, you'll want to look at what is the net price at each school, what you actually owe, as well as the different line items. So how much is each school giving you in free money and grants and scholarships? What are they expecting the student to borrow? Have they put any federal plus loans in there for the parent to take out? So consider what your family can actually afford and then do that comparison to see what's going to be feasible from a financial standpoint. Do consider a 4-year plan, even though you're applying for financial aid each year and you may be borrowing a loan each year. It is important to think ahead in 4 years. How much will you have borrowed for each year of school? So whatever you're looking at for year 1, you'll likely need to pay for years 2, 3, and 4. Think about whether the student is looking at graduate school in the future before you make that decision for undergraduate costs. Potentially, the student may need to borrow a lot more for graduate school, so you'll want to keep that undergraduate debt to a minimum, limiting borrowing wherever possible, and select a college that's really going to make financial sense for the student and family. If you do need to appeal to a college for more financial aid, colleges welcome those conversations. They want to know if you have any special situations that was not accounted for, potentially when you filled out that FAFSA form. Any unique circumstances or changes in your financial circumstances, such as a drop in income or assets, unreimbursed medical situations, or changes in the family size, should be reported to the financial aid office at the colleges the student is still considering and has been accepted to. We had a great financial aid appeals webinar with local colleges and universities recently, and we have a link to that recording in the QR code on the screen here, as well as on MEFA.org. And they give great advice for families on what to follow as far as timing. When do you want to appeal? What will you be required to submit to the college or university once you do appeal? Typically, they're going to need some sort of documentation or appeal form, and potentially even third-party documentation about the appeal. But the bottom line is you do want to get in touch with the college or university if you're considering going to that college, and see if there's anything they can do for you based on the change in your circumstances. Once you figured out what you owe at each school and are starting to narrow down the list, then it's time to look at methods to pay the college bill. You'll want to do this before making that deposit at a college or university to make sure that it is going to be a financially reasonable and feasible option for the student and the family. First thing to look at is private scholarships from the local community, particularly where students are engaged and maybe participating in community organizations, or they may be a part of a religious organization or foundation that has scholarships for their community members. Families, parents may look at their employers to see if they have any benefits or options to help pay in the form of scholarships or tuition reimbursement. You should never pay for a scholarship search. Once students have looked at the local community, particularly through the guidance office at their high school, then they can start looking at online search engines such as mefapathway.org. And you can see here that MEFA has lots of great resources and articles and options on scholarship searches and scholarships that are available on MEFA.org. So we recommend that you follow MEFA on social media for all of those scholarships alerts, and definitely take a look at MEFA.org for any scholarship-related articles. Savings in the form of past income is the first thing you'll want to look at when looking at any self-help aid to pay that college bill. A very popular program is 529 college savings plans that many families have taken out to save in tax-deferred way, as well as prepaid tuition plans. Dig out those savings bonds from when the student may have had a christening or first birthday, for example. Does the student have any money that they have saved as well in their own name? Or maybe you have other family members who have saved as well for the student that want to help contribute. You want to take stock of any savings that you have and then decide how you want to use those funds. If you've saved from the MEFA U plan or U fund, you can give us a call at these numbers, and we can give you advice and help on how to utilize those savings, as well as know how much they're worth at each college or university the student has been accepted to. After you've looked at savings, then you want to look at current income in the form of out-of-pocket monthly budget. So for example, a great option to use your current income would be an interest-free monthly payment plan that is available at every college or university. It allows you to pay all or part of the cost over a period of 5 to 12 months. For example, a common plan might be a 10-month payment plan, and there are no interest or credit requirements on these plans. There usually is a small enrollment fee of maybe $50 to $100 to participate, and the plans usually start in the early summer, late summer, early spring. So you should be able to find this information on a college's website, as well as information when you get that bill from the college the student will be attending. After you've looked at past and present income and you still owe money, you next can look at future income in the form of borrowing. So we always recommend that families look at borrowing as a last resort. Above and beyond the federal direct student loan, credit is going to be required, good credit to be approved for loans. So you really only want to borrow what you need. And think in terms of the 4-year plan, as I mentioned earlier. Even though you're applying each year, if you do need to borrow, look at that monthly payment for that loan and multiply it by 4, just so you can get an estimate of what you'll be paying if you're borrowing for each of the 4 years a student is in undergraduate school. As I mentioned earlier, consider the student's post-graduation plans and to determine how much will be feasible for them to help pay back any family or parent loans. Understand the options that are available to you. Do your shopping, be a wise borrower. MEFA has a great college loan options webinar available on our website that you can look at. We also have some live webinars coming up in June and July that you can look at and listen in on, where we'll help you determine and shop and compare for different college loan options. There are lots of options available, including those through MEFA. MEFA does have one of the lowest cost options that are out there, that are also lower than even the federal loan for parents, the Family Plus Federal Plus loan. You want to look at the different types of interest rates. What is the fixed rate that you're going to receive, not just the lowest advertised rate that a lender may be advertising. Look at that repayment timeline. Are you thinking of deferring the loan? If so, that might be a good option for your monthly budget, but those loans typically might have a higher interest rate if they're deferred. Or you're paying more in interest because you're not making payments on that principal and interest over time. So you do want to look at the total cost of the loan, as well as who is responsible for this loan. Is it a parent-only loan? Is it a family loan, like a MEFA loan, where parent and student and creditworthy co-borrowers, such as a parent, are on the loan? It's important to know who is going to be responsible for paying that loan back and have that conversation with the student. Do keep in mind when you're shopping, multiple credit inquiries within a 45-day window only show up as one credit inquiry on your credit report. As I mentioned, it's very important to understand the cost of borrowing of a loan. So here we see MEFA's undergraduate loan payment calculator on MEFA.org that allows you to look at the total cost of the loan, as well as the monthly payment amounts for different loan options through MEFA. So if I look at a loan for $20,000, for example, for a high school senior, 4 years before graduation, and then you want to put in your credit profile or estimate it. I'll use the middle amount, which is very good. And here you can see the 5 different repayment options that MEFA offers for undergraduate students, the monthly payments for each of those for a $20,000 loan, as well as what's very important, the total cost of that loan if you make the minimum payment for the full term of that loan. You can also see here the interest rates and range of APRs. So MEFA's rates are quite low compared to most private loan lenders, and it's even lower than the Federal Parent Plus loan, which is over 9%. MEFA's rates range from 5.75% to 8.95%, depending on the repayment option that you borrow and your credit. So it's a great way, a great tool to use to start estimating, running some numbers, and just determining options to pay the bill before you even have to borrow. So an example of a combination strategy, which is a really good way to help pay the bill and using borrowing as a last resort. You can look here as an example of a $20,000 balance due, which is the number I used on the loan calculator just now. So you want to look at your savings, as we mentioned. Maybe the student has saved $1,000 in this example to put towards the bill. Maybe parents have saved a total approximately $16,000 in a 529 plan, and they've decided we're going to do $4,000 a year out of that towards our bill. So here, by using savings, we've chopped off $5,000 from the bill, and then we look at our affordable monthly payment. In this example, the family has said we can afford $600 a month. So rather than borrowing it all on a $20,000 loan at $200 a month, they've decided to do $500 a month on a 10-month interest-free monthly payment plan. By doing that, we've chopped our bill in half. We still need to borrow about $10,000 for paying for this bill at $100 a month. But if you combine the two, $500 monthly payment plan amount, $100 on a $10,000 loan, that gives you your affordable monthly payment of $600 in our combination strategy. We still have to borrow in this example, but at least we're only borrowing $10,000 versus $20,000. So after you've looked at your strategy and coming up with options to pay the bill and understand what your net price is at each school, what comes next? Hopefully you've already applied for financial aid, filled out that FAFSA form, but if you haven't, it's not too late to do so. The deadline for aid in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the state is May 1st, so make sure you get your FAFSA in before then. Federal aid is available throughout the year. Do know that colleges also have deadlines, so you want to look at those deadlines and make sure you haven't missed those deadlines. Payment plans are available throughout the year, as well as private loans such as loans through MEFA, both of which do not require that you fill out a FAFSA, but we always recommend that you file that FAFSA to determine what you're eligible for federal and state aid, as well as from the colleges and universities. So the timeline that you're looking at for the student's high school senior year, in the springtime, by May 1st, you'll want to deposit at a college or university that the student was accepted to. Half of the bill for the academic year for the fall, for example, is going to come in late June, early July, and will be due about 3 to 5 weeks later in July or August. You'll want to apply for any educational loans at least 2 weeks before the bill is due. In case there are any surprises on the credit report, you want to give yourself some time. Although the loan process, for example, through MEFA is really quick, you can apply and get an instant credit approval and do your paperwork all online and be done with that in about an hour or even less. You'll want to set up any payment plans according to the college's schedule. You'll want to get on those plans as soon as they start in May, June, or July. Now, if the student has been put on a wait list at a school, you'll want to investigate what that impact will be on your financial aid offer if the student does get off the wait list at a school. At some schools, the financial aid offer will be the same whether the student was initially accepted or if they were accepted off the wait list. However, some schools may not provide the same amount of financial aid to students that get off the wait list. So you'll want to find that information out up front from a college. And also just keep in mind that some schools have a very long wait list and never accept students from it or accept very few. So you'll want to put your expectations into perspective about the wait list, but don't give up hope. It could be a potential that the student does get off the wait list. But do keep in mind that by May 1st, you do need to deposit at a school that the student was accepted to. And if they don't end up going to that school, they will usually lose that deposit. So once the student has decided, yes, they're still interested in that school that they've been waitlisted, they want to formally accept their spot on the wait list, let the admissions counselor they've been working with know their strong desire to still attend that school, keep up that demonstrated interest in the school, and let the school know of any new grades or test scores or awards that they may have that can help boost their chances of getting admitted. Keep an eye on your email or school portal for any updates from the college about the wait list. Free resources are abundant for families going through this process. The financial aid is one of your first stops if you need help throughout understanding your financial aid offers, whether it's from that school, understanding how they came up with their offer. The financial aid office can tell you what any private scholarships you've received will impact your financial aid offer, if at all. If you're going to appeal or have questions about how you can appeal, you can talk to your financial aid officer about that, as well as make an appointment either on a phone call, an email, maybe even a Zoom call if the school is not close enough to make an in-person appointment. But we recommend that you work with the financial aid office throughout the year to have any of your questions answered, as they do want to provide as much support as they can to help you understand your financial aid offer and hopefully enroll at their school. MEFA is a free resource. I've already showed you a couple of examples of calculators and tools we have on our website. So make sure you're keeping up to date with your MEFA emails to keep on track. If you like podcasts, listen to MEFA. We have lots of great guests, special guests throughout the year that are on our podcast, as well as articles, videos, webinars, calculators on MEFA.org. Take advantage of one-on-one appointments or even just a quick phone call to MEFA to speak with any of our counselors. We are here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and we can help you. Give us a call or email us throughout the whole process. Also, be sure to connect with MEFA on social media so that you can get information about upcoming webinars, scholarships, things of that nature. We want to help you from A to Z throughout the whole process. So thank you for listening. We hope that you have gotten a lot out of this webinar, and you'll be able to reach out to me if you need additional support. Good luck in enrolling in college, and give us a shout if you need help paying for school. Thank you and have a great day.